Good evening and welcome everyone to the April 27th, 2020 legislative session for the Salisbury City Council. This time I'll call the meeting to order. Please join me now in a moment of silent meditation or prayer. Thank you. At this time, I'll call for a motion and a second to adopt the legislative agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Blake. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. I'll now entertain a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda.
So move.
Ms. Jackson?
Second.
Mrs. Gregory? Mrs. Nichols, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. On the consent agenda tonight, we have two items. The April 13th, 2020 legislative session minutes and April 20th, 2020 work session minutes. And that is it.
Thank you. I'll call the
Thank you.
motion now on the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson? Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory?
Aye.
Vote is 5-0. This time I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 3029.
So move.
Ms.
Second.
Jackson?
Second.
Second was who? I'm sorry.
Ms. Blake.
Sorry. Good evening, Ms. Glantz.
Good evening, Council. Resolution number 3029, a resolution of the City of Salisbury to purchase improved real property located at 319 Truett Street from DeVreco LLC for use as the Truett Street Community Center. Whereas the seller, DeVreco LLC, owns improved property located at 319 Truett Street, which was acquired by deed dated November 21st, 2017, and recorded in Wycomico County, Maryland, land records in Lever MSB number 4254, folio 471. And whereas the City of Salisbury currently leases the property and uses it for the Truett Street Community Center. And whereas the City of Salisbury desires to purchase the property located at 319 Truett Street to continue to operate the Truett Street Community Center. And whereas the attached contract of sale for the purpose of the property located at 319 Truett Street is required to be authorized by the City Council prior to signing, which affords protection to the city if issues related to the title, property condition, etc., cannot be remedied to the city's satisfaction before the city is obligated to complete the purchase.
Okay, any questions or comments? Mr. Boda?
I think this is a great purchase for the city. And I can say this has truly benefited my neighborhood. And we're very appreciative of this program. So I support it.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
I agree with Mir, and I have no other comment.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Blake?
I agree.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory?
I agree. Watching the transformation has been really remarkable, and I'm very, very glad that we're doing this.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory. I too concur with the rest of my council people. Great idea. It's nice to be able to say that now we own that building, and I expect great things from it. I'm sure we will get it. So if there's no other comments or questions, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of resolution number 3029, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 3030.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Jackson, Ms. Glanz,
Resolution number 3030, a resolution of the City of Salisbury repealing resolution number 2741 and to approve an updated city policy to grant a partial credit to water account holders when they have experienced an unusually high water bill due to a leak or other non-beneficial use of water. Whereas the City of Salisbury maintains a water and sewer utility in the greater Salisbury area, and whereas the city only reads water meters on a quarterly basis, and whereas from time to time between readings, homeowners and businesses experience abnormal usage of water due to leaks, burst pipes, plumbing malfunctions, or other non-beneficial use of water, and will most likely not be aware of unusual consumption until the next meter reading cycle. And whereas these circumstances frequently result in inconsistent water utility bills, and whereas the City of Salisbury used enterprise funds to prepare the water for consumption, however, the city wishes to be reasonable in its governance.
questions or comments? Mr. Boda,
No.
Ms. Jackson,
I do. What is a partial credit? What would be a partial credit?
So in the memo, it talks about how much we're willing to waive fees. We're increasing the amount of dollar or percentage that we're going to be waiving in this new policy. So it really is beneficial to the user. So it's pull it up, 60% credit and a 90% credit depending on the amount of water that was used.
That's good. Thank you.
Ms. Blake,
I agree. No comment.
thank you. Mrs. Gregory,
I agree. No comment.
thank you. Thank you. I think it's a good move, personally, to protect the homeowner or landlord. I do, as I brought up in the work session, I hope we can find a way to detect earlier if there is a problem rather than waiting for 3 months. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I certainly hope, because just as important as the billing and the financial implication, we also have a use of water that could be going on for 3 months if there was a leak, for instance. So I hope that we can find some way of doing that to preserve our water supply, obviously. If there are no other comments, I'll call the motion then. All those in favor of resolution 3030, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda,
Aye.
Ms. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Blake,
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 3031.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Blake, Mrs. Gregory, Ms. Glanz,
Resolution number 3031, a resolution of the City of Salisbury, Maryland to approve the city's action plan for community development block grant CDBG funds for CDBG program year 2020. Whereas the Maryland State Office of U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, has determined that the City of Salisbury qualifies as an entitlement community, and whereas the City of Salisbury is therefore entitled to receive community development block grant funds directly from HUD upon HUD's approval of the city's annual action plan. And whereas the Council of the City of Salisbury wishes the city to receive this annual allotment of CDBG funds from HUD so that various community development projects may be completed.
any questions or comments? Mr. Boda,
None.
Ms. Jackson,
None.
Ms. Blake,
None.
Mrs. Gregory.
No questions.
If there are no questions or comments, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of resolution 3031, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda,
Aye.
Ms. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Blake,
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Glanz. I'll now entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2587 for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boda, Ms. Blake. Mr. Tilghman.
Good evening.
Good
This
evening.
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury amending Chapter 5.32 Transient Merchants and Mobile Vendors to remove the terms hawkers and peddlers and to update the licensing process. Whereas Chapter 5.32 Transient Merchants and Mobile Vendors contains procedures obtaining and renewing licenses to engage in the activities of a mobile vendor or transient merchant within the city, and whereas the city desires to update and streamline the licensing procedures, and whereas the Office of Business Development recommends approval of the proposed code changes, now therefore be it enacted and ordained by the Council of the City of Salisbury that Chapter 5.32 Transient Merchants and Mobile Vendors of the Salisbury Municipal Code is hereby amended as follows. The first significant change at line 41 and 42 is removing the temporary business definition, since that's no longer needed. The next change is under 5.32.040, line 57. We add festivals and city endorsed events to the list of places where if you sell in a booth, you'll be exempt from the licensing process. And the license application under 5.32.050, line 67, basically it indicates that you'll need to provide the identifying information for each vehicle that's used under a license. And then under 5.32.060, we again change the names. The hawkers, the peddlers are changed to mobile vendor. And then down in the last sentence, beginning at line 77, whereas before it indicated that the bond would have to continue in effect for 1 year after the expiration date, and there was a problem because you could only get them for 1 year. We've just added the provision that the licensees shall renew their bonds to ensure that such bonds remain in effect for no less than 1 year after the license expiration dates. And then it says that they will provide such proof of the issuance and renewal of bonds as is required by the Business Development Director. So the license fee is increased from $50 to $100 down in 5.32.070. And the renewal fee is increased from $40 to $50 in 5.32.075. And see that other than that, changing the names and everything else, that's about the extent of the substantive changes to the code.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Tilghman. Any questions or comments? Mr. Boda.
I think this is going to be really good for our festivals and other events, especially hopefully it will attract maybe more vendors who maybe might have been reluctant to go through this onerous process. So I think this is a good thing.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
No questions at all.
Ms. Blake.
No questions.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory.
No questions.
Thank you. Since there are no questions or comments other than have been made, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2587 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda.
Aye.
Ms. Jackson.
Aye.
Ms. Blake.
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2588 for the second reading.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, Ms. Blake, Mr. Tilghman.
This is an ordinance of the Council of the City of Salisbury amending and supplementing ordinance number 2140 passed by the Council on March 14th, 2011, approved by the Mayor of the City of Salisbury on March 18th, 2011, and effective, on March 18th, 2011, in order to authorize and empower the city to use and apply a portion of the principal amount of the $7,693,000 City of Salisbury Public Improvement Bond of the 2012 issued on December 5th, 2012, plus certain investment earnings thereon to projects identified herein as chemical building HVAC, paleofluoride room door and tank replacement, wastewater treatment plant outfall inspection and repairs, park aerator building improvements, and park water treatment plant roof improvements, in addition to the projects originally identified in Ordinance 2140, and to identify the sources from which debt service on the obligations allocable to such additional projects will be payable in the first instance, providing that this title is a fair statement of the substance of this ordinance, authorizing certain city officials to take certain actions in connection with the transactions contemplated by this ordinance, providing that the provisions of this ordinance shall be liberally construed and otherwise generally relating to the use of proceeds of the 2012 bond. And there is a chart attached, which we discussed last time, that explains where the money is coming from for the stated purpose.
All right. Any questions or comments? Mr. Boda,
No.
Ms. Jackson,
No.
Ms. Blake,
None.
Mrs. Gregory,
No questions.
hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2589 for the second, 2588 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye. Mr.
Aye.
Boda, Ms. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Blake,
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2589 for the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Blake, Mr. Boda. Mr. Tilghman.
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury granting a right-of-way to Delmarva Power and Light Company across city-owned property, Salisbury Parking Lot 15, for the installation of electric vehicle stations. Whereas the City of Salisbury owns Parking Lot 15 located near the intersection of West Main Street and Camden Street, and whereas the City of Salisbury is desirous of having facilities installed for the purpose of setting up electric vehicle charging stations on its lot, and whereas Delmarva Power and Light Company has requested the city to enter into a right-of-way agreement to allow it to install and service the electric vehicle charging stations, and whereas a copy of said agreement is attached here too, which allows Delmarva the right to construct, operate, and maintain the infrastructure in association with the new electric vehicle charging stations at the city's parking lot location. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury that the City of Salisbury authorizes Delmarva Power to construct, operate, and maintain electric vehicle charging stations at Parking Lot 15 located near West Main Street and Camden Street, and that the mayor is authorized to execute the right-of-way agreement attached here too, and that the location of the facilities shall be as shown on Exhibit 1 attached to the agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Tilghman. Questions or comments, Mr. Boda,
No questions or comments.
Ms. Jackson,
No. No. Mm-mm.
Ms. Blake,
No questions. Just one comment. I think this is a really good thing for Salisbury, and I'm glad to see that we're doing something like this for our citizens.
thank you, Ms. Blake. Mrs. Gregory.
I just want to reiterate what Angela was saying, that this is fantastic. I hope we see many more.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory. I'll now call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2589 for the second reading, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda,
Aye.
Ms. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Blake,
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2590 for the second reading.
So move.
Ms.
Second.
Jackson, Mrs. Gregory, Mr. Tilghman,
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving an amendment of the water sewer capital projects budget to appropriate funds for the Mount Herman Road Sewer Extension Project. Whereas ordinance 2497 authorized the city to borrow funds from the Maryland Water Quality Financing Administration in an amount not to exceed $120,000 for the purpose of the Mount Herman Road Sewer Extension Project. And whereas the City of Salisbury Department of Infrastructure and Development has completed the design and public bidding of the Mount Herman Road Sewer Extension Project, and whereas the City of Salisbury has received approval of the procurement of the construction contract from the Maryland Department of the Environment, and whereas the Department of Infrastructure and Development seeks to allocate funding from the Maryland Water Quality Financing Administration to the construction account, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury that the city's water sewer capital project budget is hereby amended as follows: with an increase in the Maryland Water Quality Financing Administration funding account by $120,000 and an increase in the Mount Herman Road Sewer Extension construction account by $120,000.
Thank you, Mr. Tilghman. Any questions or comments? Mr.
No
Boda?
questions.
Ms. Jackson?
No questions?
Ms. Blake?
No questions.
Mrs. Gregory?
No questions.
Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2590, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2591.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Jackson? Mr. Boda? Mr. Tilghman?
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Maryland Department of General Services for the purpose of accepting grant funds in the amount of $100,000 and approving a budget amendment to appropriate the grant funds for the city to purchase property located at 319 Truett Street from Devrico LLC. This basically is the supplemental ordinance required for the Truett Street Community Center. Whereas the city desires to purchase the property located at 319 Truett Street to continue to operate the Truett Street Community Center, and whereas the Maryland Department of General Services has awarded city grant funds in the amount of $100,000 for the purchase of the community center. And whereas the DGS grant requires the city to match the funds and have to match the funds that have been awarded, and whereas the city has already appropriated the matching funds to be used for the purchase of the property, and whereas the city must enter into a grant agreement with DGS defining how these funds must be expended, and whereas Section 7-29 of the Salisbury Charter forbids contracts requiring an expenditure in excess of the amount appropriated for that general classification or expenditure, and forbids any office, department, or agency from expending funds not appropriated, and whereas appropriations necessary to execute the purpose of this grant must be made upon the recommendation of the mayor and approval of 4/5 of the council of the city of Salisbury. Now therefore be it ordained by the city council of the city of Salisbury that Mayor Jacob R. Day is authorized to enter into the attached grant agreement with the Maryland Department of General Services to accept grant funds in the amount of $100,000. Be it further ordained that the city's grant fund budget be amended as follows: increase in the state of Maryland DGS grant account by $100,000 and an increase in the buildings account by an equivalent amount.
Thank you, Mr. Tilghman. Any questions or comments? Mr. Boda?
No.
Ms. Jackson? Ms. Blake?
I think it's a great thing that that community center is expanding and that the city is actually going to own it. It's very.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory?
No questions.
Thank you. Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2591 for the first reading, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2593 for the first reading.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Jackson, Mr. Boda. Mr. Tilghman.
Excuse me for 1 second, Mr. President. Mrs. Nichols, do we have a hearing date for the hearing that's scheduled pursuant to this ordinance yet?
Yes, we do. It's
What is
May
that?
11th.
Okay. Thank you. This is an ordinance appropriating the necessary funds for the operation of the government and administration of the city of Salisbury, Maryland for the period from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, establishing the levy for the general fund for the same fiscal period and establishing the appropriation for the water and sewer, parking authority, city marina, and stormwater funds. Be it ordained by the city of Salisbury, Maryland, that the amounts listed in Schedule A, operating budget appropriations, are hereby appropriated for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021 to fund operations of the city of Salisbury, Maryland. Be it further ordained that the city of Salisbury, Maryland, that the amounts listed in Schedule B, capital project appropriations, are hereby appropriated for capital projects. And be it further ordained by the city of Salisbury, Maryland, the amounts listed in Schedule C, anticipated grant expenditures, are hereby appropriated for the grants listed, and the mayor is authorized to enter into any necessary agreements or memoranda in order to receive and expend these funds. Be it further ordained that the tax levy be, and the same is hereby set, at $0.9832 per $100 of assessed valuation of all real property, at $3.51 per $100 of assessed valuation for all personal property categorized as utilities, and at $2.40 per 100 of assessed valuation for all other personal property subject to taxation by the city of Salisbury for the general fund purposes, including debt service purposes exclusive of revenues derived from the water and sewer fund for debt service purposes attributable to water and sewer activities. And whereas all taxes levied by this ordinance shall be liens from and after July 1st, 2020, and shall be due and payable as specified in Title 14 of the Tax Property Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, as amended, and be it further ordained by the Salisbury City Council that a public hearing on the proposed budget ordinance will be held on May 11th, 2020 in room 30. Well, I'm not sure about that.
No, I think we'll be doing it this way.
It'll be a Zoom hearing. Normally it would have been in 301. And be it further ordained by the City Council that this ordinance shall take effect upon final passage.
Thank you, Mr. Tilghman. Questions or comments, Mr. Boda?
Nothing at this time. I think we had two really good budget sessions. So I don't have anything at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. Ms. Jackson?
No questions.
Ms. Blake?
No questions.
Mrs. Gregory?
No questions.
Just a comment that following that regular meeting public hearing on the 11th, we will have one more session where the council will get together and talk about any final adjustments with the mayor and his staff. And then we'll have the vote on either the 26th or of May or June 8th. And then we'll be in compliance with the charter.
Mr. President.
I do have one question though. Mr. Tilghman, public hearings, I talked about this a little bit this morning on another meeting. In regards to the swearing in process, how will that be accomplished?
I think an individual who wishes to testify could be sworn in probably individually. That's the only way you're going to be able to accomplish.
That's okay. So it'll be individual swearing in for that public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Great. Kim, you all set with that? Okay, good.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, can I just extend some comments about the budget that I haven't really taken the liberty to over the last few days?
Sure.
And really, this is just to the council to thank you. You know, I was able to listen into many of your discussions. It's much different not being in the room together, obviously. But I just want to say I appreciate all the council questions, comments, feedback, and everything that you pushed on for answers to, everything that you are trying to get back into the budget for our staff. I shared with our staff this morning with our department heads at our 10 a.m. department head call that, I hope they remember that this team, I believe, as I evaluate the department heads' requests, whether it's essential items or items that get in the budget, unfunded essential items or items that get in the budget, there's no superfluous requests from this team. They take their job so seriously. They do such a good job of analyzing their needs. And obviously, we can't fund everything. And so I just want to say thank you to the council for considering their needs and the departmental needs. And then let me just say that, if I can characterize the trajectory of the budget in any way, it's this. 4 years of no tax increases. We've been very cautious as a city, and we're about to enter uncharted waters. But even if we weren't entering these waters, I would just offer the caution that things have been getting a little tighter. We watch things inflate, whether it's healthcare costs or workers' comp, and not getting the money back that we want. We have our own things that we're causing to inflate by trying to take care of our employees with rising wages and things like that, which I think are the right thing to do. It's just there's not an unlimited source of revenue, even as we grow economically. So I just want to remind everyone that it's tight for a reason, not because anybody wants it that way, but we've got to be careful. And again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for putting in such hard work on the budget. I've enjoyed seeing pictures of council members at home reviewing the budget, with your own little budget setup. So I think it's awesome. We're making do in this new world, aren't we? So thank you to each of the 5 of you. Appreciate you. And one more kudos to staff, to Keith and his team, Chris and Julia, for their hard work on this budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly want to thank the department heads and Julia, and especially Keith and his staff. It's become easier and easier to do the budget since I've been on the council. And I think that's to the benefit of all of us and our citizens. As you do, I have a concern of the unknown. This is probably the first time that we have no idea what's going to happen following the end of this pandemic and the implications on what's going to happen next year. So I pray that we recover and we get back online as quickly as we can, but do it in a safe and a very orderly manner so that we don't have a problem with reinfection and numbers going back up. But I think it's a solid budget. I recognize that when I listened to the department heads and met with the personnel committees that all of us met with, it's clear that they took the thing seriously, and that makes it a lot easier for everybody. So I want to thank them again. I'll now call the motion on ordinance number 2593 for the first reading. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. At this time, I'll entertain motion to approve ordinance number 2594 for the first reading.
So moved.
Mr. Boda?
Second.
Mrs. Gregory? Mr. Tilghman?
This is an ordinance of the city of Salisbury to establish that there is no rate change for water and sewer rates. It is effective for all bills dated October 1st, 2020 and thereafter, unless and until subsequently revised or changed. Whereas the water and sewer rates must be revised in accordance with the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget of the city of Salisbury. and the appropriations thereby made and established for purposes of the water and sewer departments, now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the council of the city of Salisbury that the following water and sewer rate schedule will be adopted by the city of Salisbury. The rates are set forth below. Would you like me to read those, or?
Yes, would you please?
All right. For metered water charges, in-city rates, residential and small commercial, there'll be a minimum charge of $22.45 per quarter and a commodity charge of $3.35 per 1,000 gallons. For commercial properties under Schedule 1, customer charge of $420.08 per quarter and a commodity charge of $1.95 per 1,000 gallons. For large commercial industrial customers, the customer charge is $649.22 per quarter with a commodity charge of $1.55 per 1,000 gallons. Under Schedule 2, for metered water charges outside city rates, the residential and small commercial minimum charge is $44.90 per quarter. The commodity charge is $6.70 per 1,000 gallons. For commercial, customer charge $840.17 per quarter. Commodity charge $3.90 per 1,000 gallons. In large commercial industrial, the customer charge is $1,298.45 per quarter, and the commodity charge is $3.14 per 1,000 gallons. Under Schedule 3, metered water charges for Warwick Community College and Urban Service District, residential and small commercial minimum charge $33.66 per quarter, commodity charge $5.03 per 1,000 gallons. For commercial, customer charge $630.13 per quarter with a commodity charge of $2.92 per 1,000 gallons. For large commercial industrial, the customer charge is $973.84 per quarter, and the commodity charge is $2.35 per 1,000 gallons. Under Schedule 4, sewer charges in city rates, residential and small commercial, minimum charge $55.45 per quarter, commodity charge $8.31 per 1,000 gallons. The commercial customer charge is $1,047.42 per quarter. The commodity charge is $4.84 per 1,000 gallons. For large commercial industrial, the customer charge is $1,615.69, and the commodity charge is $3.87 per 1,000 gallons. Under Schedule 5, sewer charges outside city rates, residential and small commercial, minimum charge $110.91 per quarter, commodity charge $16.64 per 1,000 gallons. The commercial customer charge is $2,094.82 per quarter. The commodity charge is $9.65 per 1,000 gallons. And the large commercial industrial, the customer charge is $3,231.39 per quarter, and the commodity charge is $7.76 per 1,000 gallons. Under Schedule 6, sewer charges for Warwick Community College and Urban Service District rates, residential and small commercial minimum charge is $83.18 per quarter. The commodity charge is $12.48 per 1,000 gallons. The commercial customer charge is $1,571.12 per quarter. Commodity charge is $7.23 per 1,000 gallons. Large commercial industrial, it's customer charge of $2,423.53 per quarter, and a commodity charge of $5.83 per 1,000 gallons. Under Schedule 7, sewer charges, sewer-only customers, there is, based on one or two fixtures, quarterly in-city rate is $7.92. Quarterly outside city rate is $141.84. And the quarterly urban service district rate is $106.38. For 3 to 5 fixtures, in-city rate is $106.38. Quarterly outside city rate is $212.77. And the quarterly urban service district rate is $159.57. For 6 to 20 fixtures, it's $152.90 quarterly in-city rate. $305.79 for the quarterly outside city rate, and $229.34 for the quarterly urban service district rate. For every 5 fixtures over 20, it's an additional $63.05 for the quarterly in-city rate, $126.09 for the quarterly outside city rate, and $94.57 for the quarterly urban service district rate. Under Schedule 8 for commercial and industrial activities, for each fire service, an annual city rate of $373, an annual outside city rate of $746. For each standby operational service, it's again $373 is the annual in-city rate, and the annual outside city rate of $746.
Thank you, Mr. Tilghman.
Mark,
Any questions?
excuse me, Jack.
Yes.
On the first line, when he said number of fixtures, 1 or 2 fixtures, if I'm not mistaken, Mark said $7.92.
Well, it should be 70. You're right. 70.
Nice. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mark.
Thank you, April.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Mr. Boda,
No questions.
Ms. Jackson,
No questions.
Ms. Blake,
No questions.
Mrs. Gregory.
No questions.
Hearing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2594 for the first reading, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda,
Aye.
Ms. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Blake,
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2595 for the first reading.
So move.
Ms. Jackson,
Second.
Ms. Blake, Mr. Tilghman.
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury to set fees for the FY 2021 and thereafter unless and until subsequently revised or changed. Whereas the fees charged by the city are reviewed and then revised in accordance with the adoption of the fiscal year 2021 budget of the City of Salisbury. And whereas the fees listed in the attached FY 2021 fee schedule Exhibit 1 are an attempt to identify and list all fees, some of which are revised in accordance with the adoption of the fiscal year 2021 budget of the City of Salisbury, and whereas some of the fees may have been inadvertently omitted from the schedule, any existing fees not listed in the attached FY 2021 fee schedule shall remain as currently set forth in the Salisbury Municipal Code. Now, therefore, be it ordained and enacted by the Council of the City of Salisbury that the fee amounts included in the attached FY Exhibit 1 FY 2021 fee schedule shall be adopted by the City of Salisbury, and the amounts set forth therein shall supersede the corresponding fee amounts prescribed in the Salisbury Municipal Code until one or more of the said fees are subsequently amended.
Thank you, Mr. Tilghman. Any questions or comments? Mr. Boda.
I know that there are some fees in here that are changing. I don't know if anybody from the administration would like to talk about that. Have any comments on that?
We'll call them at the end and see if they do, Mir. Is that all right?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Jackson,
No comment.
Ms. Blake,
No comments.
Mrs. Gregory,
No comments.
Mr. Mayor or Julia, any comments about the fee schedule?
No, I think they're all benign and self-explanatory. Fewer changes in fees this year than any other year. The one fee that's obviously getting attention from industry representatives is the landlord licensing and unit rental registration. But let's recall, I'll rewind you to the last time they increased 4 years ago. And when they were increased, we identified the target we needed to get to have those fees pay for the actual act of licensing and registering units. Remember that we identified that there are 2 fees for service that do not pay for themselves. trash collection, and landlord licensing and rental unit registration. In other words, everybody else is subsidizing those activities. So every other taxpayer is subsidizing those activities. So we need to obviously rectify that. We said 4 years ago, we promised we would rectify it. We proposed an increase and negotiated that down and to a compromised position. And I would say that this is an important step in completing that process. We're not going to be done until it pays for itself. And that's a simple matter of arithmetic. I've read some of the comments that are disconnected. There were talking points that were attempted 4 years ago that are just disconnected from the issue entirely, saying things like homelessness services are nice to have, but landlords shouldn't pay for them, things like that. That connection doesn't exist. It's a connection, a link that was attempted to be made 4 years ago. It doesn't exist. And the reason it was attempted to be made at the time was because that was around the time that we started some of those other services, neighborhood relations, homelessness services. But again, we quantified across multiple departments the cost and timeline impact of rental unit registration and landlord licensing. I think I could go on, but I won't. I'll just say this, that in the wake of, or at the same time as we're grappling with this, we've discovered and we are monitoring closely some of the very individuals lobbying the city government at this time are among the same people, and it's a very, very small group of people who are actively removing people from their properties. We're not sure that that's illegal. It's unfortunate, but it's creating homelessness right now as we are in a crisis, as we have people who are being sheltered in nothing but tents. We are facing down this crisis, and you've got people sending you emails. One or two, there are other people who are sending you emails who are not complicit in that at all. But one or two are sending you emails who are actively removing people by not renewing their leases, changing the locks, and putting their belongings outside. We're working on fixes for that. We're working on both legislative fixes and potentially litigation if it gets to that. But we're doing everything we can to stop that from happening. We're working with the state. Mr. Tilghman's office is exploring every possible option. We recognize that we might not be able to stop that from happening, but we certainly need to be cognizant that when we're hearing private property owners who rent out their properties are the last defense against homelessness, when in fact some are the first offense in creating homeless. So we need to be very, very cautious that we keep the rhetoric to a minimum and we focus on the facts. The facts are that this service does not pay for itself and is being subsidized by other sources, including taxpayers, property taxes. That's my only commentary on it, and got a lot more I can say if we get to that point. This is a step. It doesn't have to be this large. It doesn't have to be this small. It still doesn't get us all the way there to the original proposed amount 4 years ago, but it's a step.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
I can understand where you're coming from. I've received several calls from people who are saying, can they do this to me? And it's disturbing, and I hope we can resolve the issue. But thank you very much for your input. This time I'll call the motion. All those in favor of ordinance number 2595 for the first reading, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Boda?
Aye.
Ms. Jackson?
Aye.
Ms. Blake?
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. The vote is 5-0. At this time, we will begin the process of public comments. And I know that we have, I believe we have several people who want to speak. I will remind everyone that you have 4 minutes. Please, when you come on the meeting, please state your name and your business or your home, your residence, and then you have 4 minutes, and I will keep a timer. And I would ask that, because I know there's probably several people speaking on the same item, that if you agree, please come on and say you agree with the person before me, unless you have something to add, which is relevant to the topic you're discussing, and then feel free to have another 4 minutes. So with that, Ms. Glanz, do we have any public comments, requests?
We haven't yet, but if anybody would like to, I think I only see a couple folks on here, Ms. Bratton, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else that would like to speak. If you just want to unmute, I'll yield to Ms. Bratton if she'd like to speak.
Let me see how I can figure out how to do this. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's healthy and well, and can keep doing that. This is kind of interesting. I'm very, very short-winded tonight, sir. I would like to just make sure don't you laugh like that. I would just like to make sure that everybody is aware of the letters that were sent out by SAPOA and others asking that the registration fees and license fees for rental properties not be increased by the 25% mark. That's a pretty hefty amount. And these are tough times right now for everybody. I'm disturbed by some of the comments that I just heard. I'm very disturbed by some of the comments about possibly some folks that are doing some things that maybe shouldn't be happening. That took my breath away just now. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So anyway, that's my take. I think the stepping it up there's 3 things that have been gone up. One was if somebody wants to put a new property into service, that's an expense, huge expense, but it actually incurs a more positive outcome because we put people back into homes that possibly have been vacant and bring that neighborhood back up to a higher standard because you don't have a derelict property in your area. That one's gone up a significant amount also. And then the $15 for each rental unit across the board for registration and the rental license. That's a huge step for us. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it. Anybody else, Ms. Glanz?
Not that I see.
Okay. Okay. Remarks for the good of the order, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to jumping back on the same topic, and then I'll close out. I think Lynn, I was very disappointed and surprised to hear about some of the things that we've heard going on. Those calls are coming to municipal officials, county officials, state officials. It's sad. Now is not the moment that people should be losing their home. We're all hurting, as Lynn said. So I think the key here is to in the context of what we've got going on, work with our partners to try to be fair and reasonable. We're always willing to do that. But I just want to be clear that we've also got to make sure that people are the basic fundamentals of survival right now, food, medical services, and shelter are taken care of. So we've got to do everything that we can to protect those things, and that's going to take partnership. I mean, city's not in the housing business. Government, we're not in the housing business. So we've got to partner, and that's the only way we're going to achieve appropriate outcome for our for our citizens. So, Mr. President, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Boda?
When the mayor mentioned this, that there were some situations going on, that disturbs me. And maybe we can work and maybe come out with a long-term plan on and discuss, where we are and where we need to be on these fees. And if it's something that we can do over a period of 2 to 3 years, let's maybe the next work session or next meeting, we can have that discussion about the fees. And again, I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how many parents want to homeschool next year, because I hear some people are having fun.
Thank you, Mr. Boda. I'd like to know your definition of fun, however. But Ms. Jackson, remarks?
Yes, I know it is sad to learn that people are actually terminating people's leases or residents' leases because of non-payment of rent. But I would advise all the residents who are renting, whatever you can put on your bill, put on your bill, pay your bills. I know it's hard and it's not going to get no easier right now. And I know for a true fact that it's not. Do what you have to do, but also landlords, be careful what you do to others. Just be careful, be mindful that, as the mayor has said, homelessness has become a great problem in our community and in our city. And I do not want to see families put in the street because of non-payment of rent. We have enough problems here in Salisbury as it is. And that's one problem in Wycomico County. That's one problem that we do not need. And I thank the citizens of Salisbury. I thank the mayor. I thank the city council. If we could get together and come to some conclusion or something of what we could do to help people. I know we're not in the housing business, but if we could get with the landlords or whatever and sit down at a round table and talk about this, because it needs to be talked about. Thank you. Thank you,
April. Ms. Blake?
I don't have any other additional comments. It's always unfortunate. It's bad. One of the rotten apple that spoils the barrel sometimes, and that's very unfortunate. But Salisbury, is a very kind city, and we do have so many good things happening and so many good people stepping up. And I definitely want to balance that with, maybe some rotten apples in the barrel. But we'll continue to have this discussion, and that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you, Angela. Ms. Gregory?
I just want to reiterate how disturbing it is to learn that there are people who are having their leases terminated for no other reason than possibly losing their employment because of the current situation with COVID-19. I find it disturbing and abhorrent that there are those out there who are taking advantage of people while they're down, or picking them while they're down. And I'd like to remind those landlords the thing that is told to the poor members of our communities when it comes time for them to need help or forgiveness from city government, which is tighten your belts a little bit, maybe not have that one latte. That's something that's told to poor people all the time. And I would urge the landlords that are doing this to find another way to make this work.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. Angela, I'll remind you, I'll say what you said, because I say ditto. We still need blood.
Yes.
Everyone out there, if you are capable, please donate blood. It's desperately needed. Mm-hmm. And other than that, I please be safe, be aware, and make sure when you go out, you have your mask and you use it when you're supposed to use it. It's important. It's vital. And the sooner that we can get through this, the sooner everybody can get back to work and whatever the new normal is going to be. So thank you very much for everybody. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.